go. And so during our all-day retreat, we practiced the two essential practices for stability of mind. And we're going to do them again today. Why? Well, when we're in a group, I think there's a greater chance for moving from shamatha into open, spacious awareness practice. And you're being carried, as we said before, by others, which I think is so valuable. So let's try that. When we can't do either, I'll talk then later about what do we do. I just worked with a little short MBSR course. And because it was so short, they didn't have the opportunity to really establish any stability. And so there was a lot of, wow, I can't hang on either place. And then what do I do? And I thought we'd talk about that. What do I do when I'm underwater? But for now, let's establish our feet in some way that allows for them to be rested and still. And there's a natural habit, which was, I just heard it, which is lovely. There's kind of just a natural in-breath. And as we move the mind down the body towards the feet, we also bring the medium of the breath. We ride the medium of the breath all the way into the feet. The attention as well as the breath. Unbeatable combination. And just experiencing the feet as completely as you can. Inner, outer, temperature, sensations, and contact. And then we're going to move up the body, just sweeping the body with the breath from the feet up into the area of the legs. And once again, on the medium of the breath, we can invite the attention to the whole of the leg, to each sensation as it is arising. This is a little bit the beginning of noticing the two capacities of mind, the ability to focus on one object, or then to hold a larger space called the legs in this case, resting in the attention of the legs, just letting sensations come and go and holding into the whole leg. See which one's most available to you. And then shifting from the legs into the area of the hips. This is where my sense of the out-breath becomes most prominent as the weightedness of the body is shifting. And then gathering the attention once again, moving up the back, taking your time. Once again, holding the whole of the back, the large lens, letting sensations come and go, or really drawing into a particular sensation, holding for a breath or so, letting it be known. And then opening once again to the wider field. Feeling up into the top of the head. The front of the head. and the face. See if we can release the face. Face has a lot of habits for the way it holds itself. Those muscles are well trained. And we're just going to see if we can allow the face some release, touching into the throat, the chest. We can feel in this area of the chest, it's an easy move to the shoulders, the upper arms, seeing how you are. From the upper arms down into the lower arms, into the hands. You can come right up from the hands, then right to the belly. No one way better than another. And then opening as we rest into the whole of the breathscape, if that feels workable for you, or finding that breath spot, place within the chest, the diaphragm, belly, for some people, the nostril, where the breath is most vivid. And then we commit ourselves completely, unconditionally, with friendliness. I'm going to breathe in, breathe out. Knowing the breath is the instruction. In the initial stage or phase of shamatha, calm abiding practice, you'll notice that the lens is not quite set. There's a movement from the single point to the larger. There's still strong capacities to be distracted to sounds or other sensations, and this is expected. So, this isn't the failed practice, this is the nature of practice. And so just see where you're noticing that the mind can find refuge and rest most easily. What's the size of the area, the sensations, or the spot? And we're training here in using the breath experience, the breath spot, or that resting area, that refuge for you. We're learning how to cultivate that as our primary object. And so, no matter the beauty of the sounds, no matter the distress of the um, sensation, we're training here, shamatha, in finding the single object, committing oneself completely. And this is the essence and foundation of the training. We will cultivate a great agency of mind right from this single practice. So we're just going to stay here for a few more moments. And now we're moving from finding the object with some consistency to seeing if we can expand our contact. And so we're moving from maybe the light touch into the breath to catching the whole breath, the beginning, the middle, and the end. See if you can invite greater contact. There's a growing familiarity, a sense of knowing in the breath. And then we're going to find the beginning, the middle, the end of the breath with some consistency. We're experiencing the whole breath. we begin to notice certain characteristics and qualities of the breath, a longer or shorter, smoother, rough or interrupted. And this is the refining, stable mind. And based on that stability of mind, you may begin to notice a slightly changed relationship with other objects. And so now the bird song isn't a problem, it isn't where the mind moves. In fact, the stable base of the mind in shamatha allows us simply to open, include sound, but not actually move away from the breath. There isn't a here or there, not this or that. There is just objects arising, beginning with the breath, objects passing along with the breath, and then the resting. And at the end of the out breath, we begin to train very slowly in letting go of all objects for awareness itself. We touch in, it becomes still. We just open into the vast stillness, silence, spaciousness. Just one light touch. We rest in the breath experience. We rest in that stillness. And over time, And by the way, it happens on its own. You can't force this. The growing awareness itself holds even the breath, and the breath will fall slightly to the background with that open, spacious, still, silent quality abiding. But don't force that. As long as the breath is available, we let it be. We continue to open to that which holds all movements, stillness and silence itself. We can always catch that, at least at the end of the out breath. And then we just watch that transition where that stillness, silence, spaciousness grows in awareness. And awareness is now holding everything, including the breath and breath sensations. But we don't force. I have talked about this as the ocean of awareness. As if we're resting in a vast ocean, feeling the undulations of the waves, but not losing that vastness. The body itself begins to dissolve into the ocean like quality of awareness, not feeling quite so solid, not so separate. We have not lost contact with the breath, but the breath is occurring now in a much wider lens. We rest in that ocean of awareness with that undulating wave of the breath, and we can begin to sense that sky-like quality of mind above and below, left and right, vast open space, and the wave of the breath within it. If you notice that vast awareness, we can rest in this completely with objects just coming and going, sounds and sensations, thoughts and emotions. And we just let them arise and pass as they will. But the stability is in the still and silent open space. The mind is rested there. And we begin to see then that no matter the object, no matter its perceived size or weight or charge, that awareness itself is still unmoving and boundless. It holds everything. May we offer this stability, this ease, this capacity for holding, this holding space to ourselves and all beings. And when in moments of distress, we can invite ourselves to this refuge as well as others. And may this practice be of benefit to us all. I lost you folks for a while, just so I know. Computer fell over. So here we are. We were just talking about the tendency or the habit following this idea of practice beginning and practice ending, that we fairly quickly, I think it's a really big mistake, move into thinking and doing. And it's not that that's not possible or even skillful. It's, can we make that expanded awareness to include doing now and to include seeing, rather than flip back into our conceptual thinking habit nature. And this was a good practice for me because the computer fell over. And so, can I bring that right there? Right? Can I bring awareness to the computer being over and not just go into, oops, I got to get that. And then even bigger, really, can I even notice that mind? The one that goes, oops, I got to get that. And then make a choice about that without just autopiloting. Right? And the answer is what? Yes. Oh, I could feel the, like, grab the computer. It's not a problem. Then. It's just another arising object. Can I feel the, well, I think that probably means I lost everybody and talk to them again forever. But that very awareness has the capacity to hold all thoughts, all images, all experience, all sounds, all sensations. And yes, then training is useful. Training is useful. I am certain, and I said this in my class on Friday, I am certain that my ability to be with my brother as he was dying, and with my father, who I adore, and right, all those comings and goings that occur in one's life. Jim was just saying his father-in-law, right, just passed. And it isn't, we mistake this, and I certainly did as well. It isn't that you don't feel that either. It isn't that you don't have grief or you don't cry or you don't feel pain and that the loss isn't significant. This is a myth, right? I'm not going to encourage that, but that you can be in and with that completely, also without being, without going into suffering. I'll say it that way, without going into suffering. But there is pain in this human life that we experience, but that doesn't mean that we have to fall into suffering. And can you feel that difference for yourself? Could you feel it even in the practice? Yes, you could. There were things happening in the body all through that whole practice. That was probably not mostly, unless it was fairly significant or maybe putting you at a practice edge, probably wasn't where the mind got stuck. But again, yes, it course could, if in fact you're at a level of having to deal with body sensations that may be really significant. But I have watched people work with that in the pain clinics as well, in really ultimately striking ways. Really, absolutely. Just couldn't, that there was even a stability of mind and open-heartedness that could be brought there. Right to the of it. And there's a lot of in this life. I think we're on the cliff's edge quite a bit, actually. Right. So what's your thoughts about this? Could you feel that sense, that possibility at all, even with the object?
I think that
I might turn this, Anthony, because I think I can sort of get you there.
cool.
Yeah.
For me, I think that the trick is just getting used to the no thingness, because that in itself can feel like a cliff's edge.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, as long as, however kind of diffuse and kind of ephemeral, sounds, thoughts, sensations, whatever can be, it's like for me, I still find myself just very, very kind of subtly gravitating toward the ones that um, strike me as, comforting or pleasant or something. It's like, oh, maybe, even if it's something as abstract as just like, like a big, kind of indigo cloud or something. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, like, oh, this is beautiful. I can
Something,
yeah,
an object of some sort.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A handle.
right. A
Yeah.
handle.
Some kind.
Yeah, but to really allow oneself to drop into that that void kind of space,
Yeah.
which feels like it just feels groundless, and
Yes.
feels uncertain and groundless, and yet for those brief moments in which I could hang out there,
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's indescribable.
Yes. Yeah. It is interestingly, I will say, with developing practice, the greatest refuge.
Mm.
And I really mean that. I'm not saying that as a concept. I really mean everything else is going to come and go. And I mean everything, including your ideas about it. And that is really, that has a sort of no change in it, or abiding all change, I guess, another way, without the in it. And this, I think, is mid-phase practice, what you're talking about, by the way, which is, where am I, though, then? What about my body, my breath, my thoughts? What about those others? We talked about this, I think, years 5 and 6 in the Sangha, with our primary core group, because it was like, wait a minute, I don't want to not be connected to my loved ones, and it felt like, where are they in all of this? I'm looking here because I know Greg is on, and I know Jim is here, and I know Cindy is here, and these are people who have been practicing a very long time, Leslie as well. So what did you do with that? This idea that I'm going to lose stuff. I'm going to lose me. I'm going to lose my contact with others. I'm going to lose, and I think love was in there. Like, I'm going to lose this feeling, or this sense of connectedness. Greg, do you, since you're on, I don't know if you're actually around, but I'm wondering, for you and Jim and Cindy, since I know you guys were there, how did you see yourselves working with that? Jim, do you have a thought about that?
I mean, I entered that non-conceptual awareness, which is impossible to describe. And Greg, I think, from love, that continued. And instead of using the Sangha, my family, I gained eternity, family from thousands of years ago. And yes, family thousands of years from now, they all merged, and it was kind of comforting. But we were talking about, there's that little tug of self trying to get into that picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do I let him in? He should be here. But if he's here, then it's a concept, and then my family from 1,000 years ago is not with me. And so letting go, when the Buddha talks about just letting go of that branch, or no ground, I mean, that's a big step.
It is. And remember, I use the word mid-phase. It takes it's years of practice, actually, and it is a confidence. There is a growing, wouldn't you say, and I can't see Greg here, so there is a growing confidence in the groundlessness. Like it's refuge, rather than be the terror terrain. It's like the place, like, oh, this is great, because then there is no separation. It doesn't feel like me dying. It more closer to Jim's experience, really. And again, the words always fail, so this is pointless in its way. Just to know that there isn't, and I think this was the point of the teachings, by the way, to say death is an illusion. Really, there is that which is ever abiding, and whether you see that as particles or neurons or atoms or consciousness, or I don't care. These are all concepts, really. However, you can have that experience, and we often do that. I loved what Jim said about family. This sense of there has been an I before, if we're going to use the I word for, there is this present moment arising, and there is that which, and then whether you understand that as consciousness or children or atoms, or you put your frame on it as a way of grasping the ungraspable, right? These are all metaphor, really, essentially. And what's the point? The point is you could talk about it all day and get nowhere, which is why the practice is so essential.
Jim said around letting go of the brain. Admittedly, I have been the worst practicer recently. I haven't been doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that this morning, I really felt how important it is. And maybe that came from not doing it.
Yeah.
Like actually having any picture in my mind, Jim's word. I think you have to get, or at least I do, have to get back to just me before I go with that.
Yes.
So I think this morning I was able to kind of let go and just kind of be in that indigo cloud, I guess, whatever that vision was. But it was so peaceful. It was so peaceful to do whatever that is. So yeah, I guess not doing it.
Yeah, I think that is true. Actually, I've quit 100,000 times, maybe daily, in my own way, going, what's the point, or not this, or this isn't going to fix it, or right, all the things we also bring in the spiritual materialism, right? The things we really are wanting. And I want it like this, or I want to feel calm all the time, or I want to feel love all the time, whatever we've set up. And of course, we run smack into it, don't we? It's guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as much about the wanting, but just like, this is what is.
Yeah.
So the wanting is, anyway, it's very profound this morning, I guess.
It can be. And very ordinary as well, right? Yeah, just like, okay, it was like that.
Practice can find that peace.
Yeah. The stable mind, and there is no doubt about its stability after about 8 minutes of practice. It doesn't mean that you feel calm, however. This is also a misunderstanding. It doesn't mean that you're in a bliss state. This isn't true, but there really is. And I tried to point to it a little bit, like, aren't you noticing more awareness of even qualities of breath? Yes, you are. You are. You're noticing, oh, there's the end, and that's more like that. Or there's and wow, it's interesting how yes, you did. because you can't not. It's the nature of the stabilizing mind. And yeah, yeah. And then you notice that about what? Concepts of self get that fine. Like, well, there I am thinking me right into being. And what's that? Oh, this perceived notion that there's a not being happening. And you catch that. And you notice, well, there's a grab then for some handle or ground, or as Anthony said, indigo cloud. I love that. Really, which is really always some sense of self. By the way, that's just self-making. Me in the cloud. Me in the, and it takes, according to the teachings, 2 moments. Really, it takes continual practice and the gradual understanding, and only this. Don't you love that? I love that. Continued practice over time for that gradual, ever developing enlightenment, and only this. And I rest in that as well, right? So all the moments, it's just here I am not practicing, here I am thinking, what's the point? Here I am mind spinning, trying to grab some branch, sit in some cloud, make something solid so that I'm not in terror. And again, can't we feel for that too? And, oh, just right then, there was that moment that I went, yeah, nothing to grab. It's okay. We're just here. And you know them, don't you? You know them. You know all of them like I do. We're right in the middle of the almost grabbing the computer. It's just that one. Wait a minute. It's fine. And so my encouragement for the practice is going to happen all summer long, because this is what happens, I notice, is that we get busy, we get distracted, we get whatever we're doing, we're traveling, and then I keep hearing from just everybody. Well, I was traveling. Well, yeah, you were. Great reason. Good. That's a perfect, yeah, practice in Victoria. That's amazing. Practice in Alaska. That sounds amazing. Practice on the ship. That sounds amazing.
Practice at the airport. Flight.
That's plenty of practice at the airport when your flight is canceled. A lot of practice, I would say, which is, at this point, somewhat predictable, isn't it? There is some predictability even to, and then what? Is it the cancel? See, this is where our practice discernment, is it actually the cancel that was the problem? Was it the sound? Was it the sensation? Was it? Or was it something else? It was that quality of mind that greets it and holds it, or rejects it. So the Buddha had a one-liner. The Buddha was famous for these one-liners, and his punchlines are everywhere. And the one-liner is, when the mind no longer grips for that which is pleasant, and no longer shuts down, runs, or averse to that which is unpleasant, there is complete freedom. That's it. So that's it. Once you're there, that's all. You don't have to do anything else. Once the mind is no longer gripping for solidity, pleasant, known, wanted, and no longer running from that which is complete freedom. And I can feel those moments. Can't you? You can, there it was. Yeah, like that. And then there's, the fear is not even possible there, really. There's no distress possible there. Whatever is becoming or not becoming, whatever's birthing or dying, whatever's is not me. It is not me. And so there's no, and you just go like, yay, for that. So you'll hear me, I'll be haranguing probably a little bit more because I'm getting a lot of, well, Leanne, you're just so honest about it. I got to give Leanne the honesty award because everybody else hides or like, tuck. You just get the tuck from everybody else. Like, okay, no, she can't see me. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And I can see me too. Now, I don't have problems with not practicing on the cushion. I've got that wired. It's the rest of my life, right? I got the 45-minute thing down. And by the way, I count on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that in a moment that I still can't get charged. It is also true that I see it better. I recognize it faster. I can hold it with kindness, compassion, and
It's like the
wisdom.
statute of limitations on how long one position.
That's yes, it is true.
See, I'm putting that to the test.
How far can this get me? And actually, you know, maybe it's both true, Leanne. I think you're right, which is I watched a monk, and I've told the story many times. I've watched a monk who sat in a 10-day retreat with me, and I was so in Vipassana romance with this guy. This guy was like, there's the Buddha. Bam. He sat before us all. He never moved. This guy, I don't think he ate for 10 days. I'm pretty sure he didn't go to the bathroom. He was the boss. He was the Buddha boss. And we're like, and Norma Jean was with me. We're, whoa, you know, just keep doing what that guy does because he's got it going on. And we were leaving and we were saying our goodbyes. And Norma Jean and I, like Zen drunk, it's called. We can't find the car. We can't find the keys. We're sort of like this. And this monk is walking towards a vehicle and he has a flat tire. And he loses it. I mean, loses it. Hitting the car, kicking the tire, swearing. We're like, it was so perfect. What a beautiful teaching. Oh my God. I was like, yes. Like, okay. So you can have all that. Right? Yeah. And I keep it in mind. I keep it in mind. Doesn't it? I keep it in mind. Like you can look like a Buddha and it doesn't make you one. And you can be all squirrely in a moment and just know you're squirrely and maybe be more present to it. Right? You can go there. This is just we can't find our keys and we don't know where the car is. And, you know, we sort of knew what was happening. Like we probably need to just do a slower entry.
Well, it also gives you like a flat tire is like a walk in the park. Like, give me a flat tire.
Well, yeah, compared to, you know,
So you said like, oh,
pancreatic cancer, I'd say you got it going on. This is pretty like, okay, you call a person, you get it, whatever.
kindness to yourself, like,
Yes. And the truth is, I used another example here with cancer, and yes, hold that too. But it doesn't mean you don't feel either. See, this is the myth. It doesn't mean you're not scared or you don't cry or you don't get fearful for your family. That's not what, it doesn't mean we stop experiencing. We know that we're in the experience. We know fear is fear. You call it out. Right? This gives you immediately a different mind. And I really want you to be clear, the very ability to say this is terror arising. This is distress arising. This is right. Gripping is really the practice, not feeling it, but bringing awareness. And it changes everything. It really, it does. So I want us to remember.
I feel like just knowing that I finish faster than I can. That's right.
Major. Yes. Yes. And that even the wanting for something else. There's that mind. You can go, and there's me wishing it was yesterday. Or there, right?
It's a physical. Sometimes I have
Yeah.
you know, and just realizing those are signs.
Yes. That's the knowing. Right? That's the knowing. And the more we know, the more we hold in knowing. And the more we can, rather than fight or flight, right? We can establish the knowing and open. And that keeps happening and keeps happening and keeps happening. That's right. Doesn't mean the belly doesn't flutter. Doesn't mean the mind doesn't grip. It means there is that which also knows it and doesn't have to be caught in it. And that's the catching that Renee's talking. Like, oh, look, there it is. And then we can attend, right, and attune to that. Greg, good to see you. I'm sorry, I was talking to you earlier and I couldn't find you.
I think I was out getting coffee and I apologize. I kind of heard you at the last minute, but I didn't want to jump in there because I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I did want to share something this morning that
Yes.
was interesting because it really kind of fits in with what you're talking about. My son just got COVID, and so I was talking with him yesterday, and we started to talk after we initially said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, you've got COVID, and it looks like it's been a little bit harder for him." And he stopped us and he said, "I just want you to know right off the bat, I'm grumpy." I'm just letting you know, because he said, "But it's real easy for me to fly off the handle." He said, I don't want to. I'm just aware of it, and I'm
Yes.
kind of letting you know, because he's got kind of this fuzzy brain, and it's it's easy for him to be reactive. But there was this really solid awareness of it that he was able to kind of talk about right there and just say, "Hey, this is what's happening with me right now, and I'm aware of it."
That's
So
right.
I thought it
It's
was
really lovely.
yeah, I really liked it too.
And it does change everything.
It does. I mean,
It
the
does.
conversation settled down at that point, and it was good.
Yes. Like, and then we just want to hold the other
Right.
in their, right, distressing.
Their
experience.
difficulty.
You
Yeah.
don't even need them to be not grumpy.
Right. I mean, actually, that was fine. That was just completely fine. If he'd been grumpy, I
Right.
would have been just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we imagine what it would be like for us to be that with ourselves, that we could say things like, I'm really, and I notice when you do, noticing that I'm tired,
Right.
noticing that I'm feeling distracted, noticing that I'm caught in something right now, that this, like that sharing that mind actually makes everything workable, right? Versus trying not to be it.
Yeah.
And do you remember what that gets you mostly? Big trouble. Pretty consistently. Big trouble. Trying not to be, it's really easier for everyone to just say, there's something going on. I'm worried about my family or whatever. Just right. And I have a friend who tries believes she doesn't want to burden others with a challenging thing happening currently in her life. And so you can't form a relationship at all, because you're going, well, how are you? Well, I'm fine. Okay, well, that's probably not true based on that. And now there's nowhere, right, to hold. We're like, well, okay, so what can we talk? And it's fairly challenging. It's fairly challenging because we're not real enough with it to say, I don't want to talk about it. It's just too scary. In which case I would go, thank you. And I will be with you right now in not talking about and knowing that, right? That could even be, but I'm fine. Let's not, doesn't give us anything enough to hold together, right? And so be watchful of our, we have some habits around that, I think, which is it's better if I don't say it, or it's better if I don't. No, actually, if it's there, it's there. And you get to decide how much to share or not share. You're not obligated, but something more than it's fine, which is just is
I'm fine is worse than I'm terrible.
yes. Did everybody hear Larry just say that? He said saying it's fine is actually worse than just saying it's terrible. Isn't it true? Yeah, because at least there's something real that we can make. It's resonant. It's consonant. You're going, yep, I can tell. Thank you for that. That's a little bit helpful. So watch, these are, this is also spiritual bypassing. This kind of, I want to be okay. Well, I don't blame you. Me too. But we tend to shut down, push down, and reject, which is a form of Chogyam, Pema's teacher used to call that lazy lying. Lazy lying. Like it's just easy to go, no, it's not fine. But it wasn't true.
Diane, I have a question.
Yes.
Along those lines that you're talking about, the I'm fine.
Yes.
I was with someone the other day who I don't see that frequently anymore because they moved cross country, and I went somewhere that we used to go together, and I said, "Do you miss this?" And their response was, no, I don't miss that. Like if I choose to miss that, then that's taking me out of the present moment. And what went on in my mind was, well, there's a lot of things that I miss, but I don't think it precludes me from being in the present moment with what I'm experiencing now. And so when you said kind of the emotional bypass or,
Yes.
hey, I'm fine, that's how I felt about that.
Yes.
Does that,
Yes.
like, I'm not going to, no, I don't miss that.
Yeah. There is no experience, is there, positive, neutral, or negative, that we might have that removes us from the present moment. There is no experience. Joy like this, sorrow like this, missing like this, longing like this, desire like this, wanting like this, or not wanting like this. That there is not an experience that takes us out of the present moment. It is the reduction, the denial, the pushing away, the glossing over, the running from that takes us out of the present moment, not the experience, whatever it is, right? You get the difference?
The experience of longing, the experience of missing, I can't experience that other than in the present moment.
Right.
Okay.
Of course.
Because
So
to me,
then
it takes
I
a lot of,
can't miss that because then I wouldn't be present is an interesting confusion.
I was confused too, but I didn't want to
Yeah.
challenge the, well, what do you mean you don't miss it? Like, what?
And you might have gotten the better understanding, which is you said it, I think, when you said this might be unpleasant, this might be something someone doesn't want to feel.
Mhm.
And so you didn't challenge, right, to make that more difficult, or you might have been mindful enough yourself to go,
That's
I'm seeing
encouraging.
this person's distress.
Mhm.
Now the work will be what? What's the practice now for you?
I feel like the practice now for me is truly accepting where they are in their work of I'm not going to allow myself to feel that, instead of me trying to pull them into the sort of I'm right and you're wrong,
That's right.
and really be there with them and whatever it is that works for them. Like the person who says I'm fine and they've just been diagnosed with, prostate cancer,
That's
or
right.
they don't want to talk about that. It's who am I to say, I think you should do this because it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Just because that would be helpful for me doesn't mean it's helpful for somebody else.
Yes. And you can know this and hold that knowing with compassion. You can know
Okay. And
something's off, something, right? There's something dissonant. It doesn't mean we, tear open the bud. That's not really
okay.
ours to do. And uh, haven't we all also had the experience of going, I can't name this yet, and or I don't know it, and or I don't want it. And so, right, we've all had our versions of that as well. So we can, right.
Right.
And then what
Opening the
you say
floodgate.
becomes most skillful, right? Which is, I said to my friend, I have the sense that it may not be fine, and just know that I'm here.
Compassion.
That's it. That it's my sense. By the way, who am I? What do I know? The person may be going, no, really, it is. You're weird. Um, okay. I have to be able to work with that too, but they didn't. I said, and I know that wanting to be fine also sometimes looks like I'm fine because I just want to be fine and I don't want to be here with this. And that person did come back later to say, yeah, I just want to be okay. So I'm going to say it,
Thanks.
hoping it, right? And don't we all know? Yes, we do. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Marie, for that. I apologize for our little lapse there with a computer fall off the lap. I'm glad you're still here. Good to see you all. Graciela, I haven't seen you in a long time. Good to have you here. We're just going to sit for one more minute together. We're almost out of time, but I don't want to move into the day with the concepts. I want us to see if we can't move back into the body, finding our way back to that little gentle sweep, just making contact with the body as a whole. And you might notice that there's a little more availability from our earlier practice to find the breath. To settle into the stillness and the silence. And to invite once again that boundless stability and ease, that open space of compassion, kindness. And might we then practice like this, taking moments throughout the day from our at least 60 breath practice to open back into awareness. And in feeling its infinite, vast, open, spacious, boundless nature. We remember our own. And may we offer this practice today to the end of suffering. And the genuine wish for unconditional happiness, ease, freedom, and well-being. For ourselves, our loved ones, and all beings. And may our practice contribute this very day. So be it. Thank you all for being here with me. And we will be on Zoom next Saturday and the Saturday after. And this Tuesday, we'll be here practicing. There'll be somebody from Sangha helping us a couple of those dates. And the next day that we'll be here in the garden, I believe, if the 2nd is a Saturday, the 9th is a Saturday, right? I will not yet be back. So the next time we'll be here is the 16th of July, but please drop in and get on Zoom with all of us. We need you too. So thank you all. Good to have
We're
you.
also doing Thursdays.
And Thursdays, yes, at 7, because Greg, you're back in the saddle.
Yeah, and we're doing something with on Thursdays. We're doing a reading every day from this book. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't with the way that screen is. The Wisdom of Common Sense, which is a very, very nice little book. It's based on Buddhist tradition. It's really kind of each day you've got a reading on something different, but it's really focused around compassion, love, simplicity, being present, and it's very, very nice.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I will be trying to drop in with you Thursday from Seattle.
Okay.
Look forward to that. Everyone be well. Have a good day. Carry that awareness with you. It's right there. I'll look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye, everyone. See you later. Where's